Storytime with Angi'O. I'd like to tell you 3 stories about my father. When I was 15 years old, I was trying to teach myself how to drive. And so one of those fateful evenings, my dad and mom went out. And I'm sitting and I'm watching TV and I see car keys at the table. And there's an angel this side telling me, do not touch the car keys. And there's like a devil here saying, touch the car keys, they've gone, no one will ever know, you're just using it to practice, you're not going to leave the compound. So I pick up the keys, I go to the car, and I start driving. So first I was kawa, I drove, I was just going forward and backwards, and I would reverse, forward and back, like I would stay in, is it a gear or a gear? 1 and 2, and reverse, easy. Then I started getting a bit more confidence, and so I started accelerating a little more, and before I knew it, I had bashed the car, I had reversed the car into the veranda. The poles were broken, the tiles were broken. I had driven up the stairs of the veranda, the whole bonnet was off, the side of the door was crushed in. Then I got out of the car, I was so freaked out. Suddenly I forgot how to drive. So I ran to the neighbors, I called a friend of mine, I said, please come and help me, move the car. We moved the car, parked it where it was originally, and he sort of helped me put the bonnet back. So now the next few hours were death for me, because I'm like, my parents, what am I going to tell them? I get onto the phone and I call, because I knew where they were. I called my auntie and I said, can I please talk to Daddy? He's like, what's wrong? I've knocked the car, I've knocked mommy's car. So I talked to my dad. I'm like, Daddy, I've knocked the car. I explained the whole story. I'm in a panic. And this is what he says to me. Are you okay? I'm like, yes, but I knocked the car, the veranda. He's like, are you okay? Is there any damage to you? Are you okay? Then I said, I'm fine. He's like, okay, we'll come back and talk in the evening. The rest of the story doesn't matter. At that point, I'm freaking out. I've made such a terrible mistake. None of them knew I could drive. I've bashed the car. I've broken the house. And his first question to me is, his first and only question to me was, are you okay? Right there is my father's heart. Right there is my father's heart that's like, I know who you are, I love you, you've made a mistake, but I need to know that you're okay. Another story. When we were really young, I was in primary school, there's a time we had traveled back to Uganda. We didn't have a car, and we were staying at an estate. And my dad's friend, my uncle, had a pickup, those tiny small pickups. And because I used to go to the same school as his son, we used to get a lift every morning. So we'd get ready, stand by the roadside, and he would pick us up. My dad at that point was working at the university as a lecturer. So we've come back, we're trying to get back, on our feet. He'd just been studying, he's just got a job. And so our uncle used to pick up a couple of kids actually in the estate, pick them up and take them to school. This particular morning, it's raining. It's raining heavily. And I'm wondering, I'm like, what's going to happen? Anyway, my uncle comes and picks us up. So at the back of the pickup, there's like a tarpaulin. And some of us, like the younger kids, sort of sit under the tarpaulin. Other kids are sitting at the front. Then my dad goes and sits at the edge of the pickup. It's raining. And he's getting wet. I remember him sitting, his hand was on one side of the pickup at the edge, and the other hand on the other side to support himself. And I remember his watch. One of the kids asked, they called him and they're like, your watch is getting wet. And he's like, no, it's okay, it's waterproof. Anyway, guys, we sat on that pickup. My dad got wet. I'm not gonna cry. He got wet. And he took me to school. So he's making sure I'm dry. He's making sure I'm taken care of. He's making sure I get to school on time. I think about it and I'm like, he's a lecturer. He is going to go to class. Like, I don't know if he changed his clothes along the way. I don't know what he did. I don't know if he passed by a friend's home to change his shirt. I know he got wet. I know he went that day to the Faculty of Technology and he taught. I've been a student before, and I know how sometimes people treat lecturers and teachers. And I just think to myself, I don't know what his day went like. Of course, he didn't tell me. But I'm like, he's done all that. He knows he's probably going to be ridiculed. And he's doing it for me because he loves me. Another story, most recently, maybe 3 years ago. I'm a grown woman. My sister is living across the valley from where I stay. And we woke up in the morning and we're like, let's go for breakfast. Let's go and give ourselves, a huge, big brunch. But none of us had like the money. And we're like, no, it's okay. We'll ask daddy. So my sister comes and picks me at home. And on our way there, we send my dad a message. We're like, we're going for breakfast. Can we please have money for brunch? So he didn't get the message at that point. But we went on ahead. We went to the place where we were having breakfast, ordered the food, started eating. And at some point during the breakfast, he sent mobile money. Of course, he sent more than enough. And I remember thinking to myself, my gosh, I have such confidence in my earthly father for his love for me. Like, I made plans and I went ahead. We ordered the breakfast, knowing that at whatever point he gets the message, he's going to send the money. And I thought to myself that my father and his love for me does not compare to the love of God, my father. That I have a father in heaven who would move heaven and earth to make sure that I'm okay. I'd like to read for you a few verses about God our Father. I'll first go to Romans 8. Romans 8, verse 4 to 16. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, these are sons of God. For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry out, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God, that God is our Father, that he would move heaven and earth. I'd like to read some other versions of that very same verse. Amplified version says, for all who are allowing themselves to be led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. For you have not received a spirit of slavery, leading again to fear of God's judgment, but you have received the spirit of adoption as sons, the Spirit producing sonship, by which we joyfully cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies and confirms together with our spirit, assuring us that we believers are children of God. Friends, God is our Father. I'll read the Passion Translation. The mature children of God are those who are moved by the impulses of the Holy Spirit. And you did not receive the spirit of religious duty, leading you back into the fear of never being good enough. But you received the spirit of full acceptance, enfolding you into the family of God, and you will never feel orphaned. For as he rises up within us, our spirits join him in saying the words of tender affection, Beloved Father. For the Holy Spirit makes God's fatherhood real to us as he whispers to our innermost being, You are God's beloved child. I'd like to leave you with this today, that the Holy Spirit is making God's fatherhood real to you. And he's whispering to your innermost being, saying, You are God's beloved child. Thank you.